Alright, let's go. Someone's been nicking extra goods from the supplies, a concerned woman tells you. Counted these myself yesterday, no mistake. This keeps up, we'll all be starving before long. Ask clansmen. Noticed anything unusual around the wagons? You ask several groups in the caravan. To a man, they shake their heads. Though they ask no questions, you can tell concern is spreading throughout. Oh, great job of declining morale. Also, Boersgard is coming up already.
As we pass steep cliffs, the sprawl of Boersgard comes into view. A city of contrasting rich and poor, opportunity and gamble. Our best hope for salvation, or our graves.
So I guess with Boersgard and a big city coming up, and a couple of days left, it'll actually be a good idea to get our morale up a bit, huh? Godstone Bureau is the last save. So let's rest for as long as it takes us to get to good morale. Alright, good. One more day. We have 5 days of supplies left. That's not brilliant, but it should do. Right? Let's get into the city. The Slayer and the Slain. That's a few levels the city's built on. Right into the lake. There's steep mountains, steep drop off towards the lake, it seems. Finally, you arrive at Boersgard, even though you don't really know why, right? Where the walls stretch for miles in both directions, and are littered with the bodies of dredge, Val and men. Excuse the mess, shouts a voice from above the gates. Looking up, you spy a striking Val, his face wreathed with matted black hair. Movement at the gate catches your eye. Dredge are still banging on the gate doors. Without luck. Let us in, you shout. Sigbjorn pushes past. I won't be hearing the end of this for a while, he says, before yelling, Open up, Bolverk. They dug me out of Reinevik. You hear a laugh echoing on the wind as though doors creak. A dozen armed men, led by a massive Val, make quick work of the dredge and usher you into the city. This might have been a lot more difficult if we hadn't gotten Sigbjorn, I guess. So this is good. You may be interested to know they brought a mender. You didn't go to get a mender. Where's the mead? Sigbjorn shrugs apologetically. I guess the mender will do. Either we've got a chance now, or we'll be completely screwed. I'm Rook. We've come a long ways, some as far as Skoger. Are you in charge here? In charge of the governor, I suppose. Listen, if you have something to tell him, say it now. Otherwise, you're on your own. I don't care where you go, but stirring up trouble is probably the only reason you'll see me again. It won't be to talk. Mender, come along. We're going to go see the governor. Bolverk and Sigbjorn leave with Eyvind, who goes willingly, signaling that he's fine. Oh, so I don't have Eyvind then for a couple of fights, I guess? Fan, this is just like Frostvalor all over again. This is nothing like Frostvalor. The one in Bearskin is probably leading the Ravens. Ravens, is that good or bad? Depends on who they're working for. Hopefully it really is the governor and not someone trying to strong-arm their way into his seat. I guess we wait for Eyvind to tell us if he comes back. I'm not worried about Eyvind. I'm worried about the army of refugees we brought, who don't belong here. You're probably right. Nobody ever uttered a nice thing about Boersgard. So, what now? That's kind of a weird way to speak, Rook. Nobody ever uttered a nice thing about Boersgard. People talk shit about this city, I guess. We ought to go to the docks and see what our options are, in case we need to leave quickly. Did you notice the city guards when we came in? What guards? I have a feeling the ravens are all they've got left. Something serious went down. And when Bellower gets here, he's going to walk right through this place without even breaking his stride. Let's keep that to ourselves for now. So, the docks. Okay, docks market. We have a market. We don't have much renown though. 1 renown gets 1, too. That's a horrible rate. Good thing we got a few days worth of rations. Skewler, -1 drawing aggro, +1 will. Warrior's Oath, Singing Stone, +2 will per kill. Yeah, I guess we're good. Market, heroes, map. Anything we need to learn about our surroundings still. So we are in Boersgard, which is this kind of weird twin city of Omsdaler. It's a dark town. Got a lot of criminals, a lot of very rich and very poor people. It's on this lake. It's in Stromlund, which is the other human kingdom. Kind of not as prestigious, I guess, as Runewall, but probably similar in population, bigger in size actually. And it broke off the human kingdom after a civil war. That's what we learned so far. Just south of the Langloom Forest. And not in Settlund anymore. Alright then. So I guess our only option here is to go to the docks, right? When you get to the docks, your heart sinks. Not a longship to be seen, aside from wrecks. Bodies float in the water. Buildings are trashed and boarded up. What happened here, murmurs a lad. They're all gone, says Ivan, approaching alone. I see you had the same thought as me. Ivan's back. That's good. Ivan, you're okay. I'm fine. It wasn't a lie. The governor is here. He's in hiding. Why? Since the dredge started appearing, anyone with a ship and a half... Everyone with a ship and half of it left long ago. People can't leave by foot. Food is scarce. The markets are bare. Yeah, we noticed by the prices. Boersgard is a fire keg waiting for someone to tip over. So the governor's paying the ravens to protect him against his own people. And keep the peace, so to speak. Which comes out to about the same thing, I guess. It's more like a massacre anytime there's a hint of an uprising. Where does that leave us? I promised him the Mender's protection in Aberrang. I don't think he's very popular here. They're going to start tearing this place down to build new ships. We can ride the Ormsa River all the way to the capital, leaving another perfectly good city behind. How long will it take to build new ships? Hold on. What happens to the people living in Boersgard? It's the best I could do, lad. You thought it could take as long as a month. You don't usually make ships out of scrap lumber. As soon as people figure out what's going on, there's going to be riots in the streets. A month? Why bother? Bellower will be here within a week, if not sooner. I'm open to suggestions. Gods be damned. Is there no end to this? Ivor roars in frustration, leaving you standing by the docks. The lad gives you a worried look before chasing after him. Ivan... What do we do about Bellower? Ivan says nothing for a moment. I don't know. So we don't have any new options besides talk to Ivor, right? Morale's still good, thankfully. Also, I wanna check out that plan where they said we can use... where would they even go with the boats, right? mean, this is a weird geography. They said Aberang might likely be safe, because it's probably the biggest city in the world. Besides maybe Grofheim, but that got taken care of, right? So that might be a relatively safe place. They said we can take the river all the way to the capital. Or the Ormsa River, right? So this is a weird geography. There aren't any mountains here, just bogs. But still there's a river coming out of that, flowing this way instead of this way to the sea. Maybe there's some slight elevation here, but I don't see it. Anyway, it goes here, forms a lake for some reason, the Lake Boersgard and Ormsdalr and Arrows are on, then continues as the Ormsa River, which is also fed by this little contributary here, and then goes into Fiska Bay, which is kind of the only sea access, only real sea access that Stormlund's got. Except for maybe that river delta here, a little bit, but that's, I mean, behind the forest and mountains. So, yeah, you could take the ships down this river, go into Fiska Bay, and then travel to Aberang, along the coast here, I guess. Sailing and navigation. At one time when the world was unknown and changing, the arts of sailing and navigation were highly desired. And while many trade routes are very valuable to this day, there is little left to discover, and those who have tried to cross the vast have rarely returned and never found anything to speak of. Aberang. From humble beginnings to the eventual seat of power for the king, Aberang is the most populated and contested city throughout the human lands. Its towering obsidian walls have been pulled from the depths by the weaving power of the Menders. So yeah, I guess it would be a good defensive position against the dredge. As each new generation of residents builds another ring of walls, the city continues to grow larger, more indulgent, and more dangerous. Laxaber. When Ongul Satadr began finishing the Fiska Bay vigorously, there was no name for the shallow area along the shore. It wasn't until they had driven fish to extinction that it earned itself the nickname Laxaber. So this is a little town, a little ways from Aberang. Called Fishhook by the locals, Ongul Stadr was fittingly one of the most successful fishing towns, having discovered huge spawns of fish in the nearby bay. A victim of its own success, it grew so rapidly that it soon had emptied the harbor immediately surrounding the town within a few short years. Last Grove. Rather literally, this marked the final woods that mankind would discover as they settled across the fertile middle crescent of the land, and would become an important resource in the founding of many large cities along the west coast, greatly diminishing the scope of the forest that was once nearly twice as large. Probably stretching out this way or something. Mid-river, Arbor River, a couple of small rivers here. Aberang is at the very tip of this peninsula. Fieldgate. An uncharacteristically small bridge crossing the Arbor River. Fieldgate was one of the first places men settled back when Aberang was still a small series of farming homes. The bridge stands as a sign of respect to the generations past. Oh, so Arbor is the river that gives Aberang its name, right? One of the three fingers coming out of the Jarl's Fjord. That's a beautiful way to put this. The Arbor River was the first tilled land of early man who found good earth by the riverbank. Jarl's Fjord. The growth of Aberang relied heavily on the Jarl's Fjord, an inlet that provided the quickly growing city with a steady supply of fresh water and fish. As the old saying goes, the gods split the fjord into three to fulfill the needs of the common people, the kings, and the gods each. Oh, I love this little kind of mythology and lore that's in every place name here. And it feels real, because it makes sense. 3 rivers. Not gonna check them all out, I guess. So, yeah, that would be our way through Fisker Bay. The ocean currents that sweep southward past Aberang pull fish into Fisker Bay on a regular basis, making it an extraordinarily valuable resource for fishing communities that have sprung up on every side of the bay. Though there are often rivalries between the towns, so far the fish population has held out. Well, except here, I guess. It's on the bay, and it's also got a road connection to Aberang, which it's supplying, I guess, since there are more fish here than out there. Interesting. South Fjord. The South Fjord feeds water to both the Fingernail Weld and the Old Wood, and is also an integral part of trade with the fish markets of Fisker Bay. Trade, huh? So it means ships can go to Tolier and Gaula and Bruntal, I guess. The Hunter's Bridge was built explicitly for the reigning king of Aberang, who wished an easier passage to the Old Wood. He had animal heads built onto the bridge posts along the bridge, and as passed over it would be as he passed over it, he would touch the head of the animal he wished to have luck finding on the hunt. The Old Wood. A vast wood frequented by kings and important chieftains because of the excellent quality of the animals that could be found here. It was early on protected by the King of Men, so that the permission must be granted to hunt here, and no man would be allowed to cut down the ancient trees. Despite this, poaching is no uncommon activity here. Let's check out these cities along the South Fjord. Tolier. When Aberang became a city overpopulated and overpopular, the up-and-coming rich and important families had two choices. Join in the game of politics or leave. Those looking for a more idyllic life settled nearby in Tolier. It's kind of a rich people's recluse, small, wealthy town, right? Gaula. The humble appearance of Gaula, a smallish town of woodsmen along the Fingernail, hides the fact that it exists as a town for prisoners who have been exiled from the capital of Aberang, forced into servitude where they are either made to harvest lumber or sent to break stones in Brunthal. How fitting. Brunthal, built near a natural spring at the foot of the Wormscale Mountains. The town was founded by merry chieftains so frequently drunk that the original name Brundal soon became a cruel mockery of its slurs. Eventually, Brunthal managed to stick. Well, that's actually the Wormscale Mountains. Yeah, they're fucking huge. Great Loom, Gold's Reach Hills are the southernmost part of them, I think. The God's Reach Hills are not part of the Wormscale Mountains. Though most people ignore this technicality, few still use the name God's Reach, which at one time referred not to the size of the mountains, but to the depth of the rivers that run through them. There are rivers through them, that's nice. Also, I guess we're gonna check Runewall. In the First Great War, Man and Val fought viciously for Runewall's abundant farmlands and coasts overflowing with fish. Only with the help of the Menders would Runewall eventually become the home of Aberang, the capital of Men, and Manahar, where the Menders would gather in council. Where's Manahar? It must be here somewhere, right? Seahorn, Skirtle, Strand, Southbridge. Some plains, where the Manahar. I'm not seeing it. Oh, that's Manahar. It's on this isle. It's home of the Menders. And there's another defensive fort further outside. The home of the Menders, Manahar was built near Aberang at great expense in exchange for the Menders' support at the capital and other diplomatic duties. Manahar itself, connected to the mainland by an unexpectedly stable rope bridge, houses apprentices in training, the Mender Council, and a vast library of writings and unusual items the Menders have collected over time. Eaglehorn. One of the many spiraling towers built in the early days against the dredge, Eaglehorn breaks the skyline from the tip of Manahar, city of the Menders. Originally called Moonhorn, it fell into disuse because it became home to a nest of eagles that often circle and dive for fish in surrounding waters. Let's So we have a good idea about the geography of Rundwall now. And again, Stromlund, where we're currently in, has access to the wealthy Fisker Bay. And actually Brunthal is part of Stromlund. That's interesting. Because it's like supplying Averang with stones, we learned, right? Gaula, the city with the prisoners, and Tolia are part of Rundwall, though. Where's the exact border? It kind of becomes a little fuzzy here. Is it the street? I guess it's probably Hunter's Bridge and then the South Fjord, right? Which is the border, which means the biggest part of the Fisker Bay shoreline is part of Stromlund. A bit is Rundwall and a bit is Dalarond, actually. Which also means the Old Wood is actually part of Stromlund in its entirety. So Aberang would need to go to a different country, Aberang's king, for the hunting, which is interesting. Let's quickly check out Dalarond and the Followwind Hills, kind of form the border together with this river here. Foulwind, though. It is well known that the swamps of Svartbok have a noxious odor, but as a side effect, the Foulwind Hills manage to keep the winds blowing from Svartbok to the south. Luckily for those living above the hills, and unfortunately for everyone else. Dalarlond, a land of valets where the Horseborn withdrew during the Great Wars, and now roam in nomadic packs. The warmer lands to the south are as sprawling and empty as they are unexplored. Longships that have sailed along its coasts have found little reason to return. So that's kind of a mystical land to the south. Plains of Slaughter, Ormsfjord. Do they have any important geographical features? I guess the Ormsfjord. It's kind of an entry to Dalarond. The mouth of Fisker Bay is where the Ormsa River begins. Or ends, I guess. Despite a single opening, the Ormsa River moves swiftly enough to carry ships long distances in a short amount of time. Downs crossing. Plains of Slaughter. The early days of the Horseborn are a tragic tale indeed. No tale more so than that of the Plains of Slaughter, where, furious at men's treatment of horses and conflicted emotions about their own relationship to the beasts, stole and slaughtered the horses wholesale in defiance. As time passed, they would deeply regret the decision and withdraw further into Horseborn territories, cutting themselves off from the other intelligent races completely. That's the only city I can spy here, right? Asar, an adopted name for the point at which the Horseborn first spied mountains from their long level plains. The sight of tall earth worried them so much they immediately turned back to the flat familiarity of Dalarond. Or so the story goes. Despite the Foulwind Hills, I guess. So it's just a point, not exactly a city. Okay, they're nomadic peoples, I get it. So we're still in Boersgard. Caught up on all that geography. Let's talk to Ivar. You find Ivar standing on the city walls, overlooking the fields outside. Dredger keeping their distance, but continue together. I'm okay, Rook. Ivar cuts you off before you can say anything. You know he's been through worse. Just feels like someone should cut us a break every now and then. If we want to be standing a month from now on, we're going to have to be prepared. What did you have in mind? First off, our clansmen need a place to stay. They'll get torn to pieces out in the streets. I'll keep an eye on the dredge up here. If they break through the walls, we're done for. So we'll have to keep them back. Could always use a hand with that. We need to know who's controlling what and make sure we get our cut. Food's going to become scarce. And when they start building those ships, we're going to have to keep people away. What a damn mess. I'll do what I can. Ivor explains. I'm leading attacks with Ivan every time the dredge get too close to the gates. Listen, we're going to lose fighters and Val every day like this. I don't need to tell you what happens if nobody's manning this wall. We could always use help. So we only have like slightly over 100 fighters and Val combined. You consider what you want to do now, knowing that any of these tasks will likely take a full day. Find a safe place for the caravan to stay, join Iva in defending the walls, find a source for supplies. We're good for supplies right now. Help down at the docks, put Krumer in charge of leading the warriors. Krumer, try to get some rest. I guess we need to find a safe place to stay first, right? The entire caravan has spread out in the streets where they're attracting attention. We could look for a public house, suggests a lad, like Frost Valor. You figure that if you made camp in the open, you could at least keep everyone together. Or with people leaving the city recently, there might be abandoned houses you could squat in. Gather in the public rest house, make camp in an open space, keeping everyone together. Look for abandoned houses, put some people in charge and let them deal with it. Oh god, I don't know. Boersgard, the last step. Put some people in charge, I guess. Morale improved. Good. I can't be here all the time, you tell people who have traveled with you through thick and thin. I'm leaving you in charge of your own fate, while we deal with the dredge. They agree and start dividing responsibilities amongst themselves. Seems like a good idea. Minus 21 fighters, minus 14 Val. Well, that's actually quite a lot. Fuck. I guess it'll be less if we actually fight, though, right? Market. Iva points out the dredge along the wall. There's a lot more of them, and they're getting braver. We lost a fair number of fighters since yesterday. We could use your help, if there's nobody left to defend the walls. One of your clansmen from the caravan finds you. I just wanted to tell you that things are fine. People who you left in charge are doing a good job. Even stopped some looters and sent them off with a little warning for anyone else thinking of coming after us. Swear, I even saw some of them smiling. He departs, leaving you to worry about other things. Well, that was a good decision then, I guess. Except it cost us fighters and Val, quite a bit of them, but we did need to find a place to stay. Also, morale's good. Oh, we get some renown. Oh, it's great actually now. Consider what you want to do now, knowing what any of these tasks will likely to tell. Okay. Find a source for supplies? No. Help down at the docks? No. I guess we'll join Iva in defending the walls, right? To minimize our fighter losses. We've been a little more aggressive lately, says Iva. With our numbers going up, they don't take us seriously unless we're taking out 2 for every 1 we lose. Morale improved. Good. So, we're fighting then, huh? Ready for battle. And exactly this setup it shall be.